welcome back to Cyber Sidekicks. It's 11 a.m. on day 2 of RSAC, the 24th of March. And we're here with Christina Richmond, also of Richmond Advisory Group. How are you doing, Christina?
I am doing well, Rory, and we also have a wonderful guest.
Would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, we have John Velisaris from IBM with us. John, could you tell us what your role is at IBM?
Sure. I'm an associate partner in IBM Cybersecurity Services. I'm responsible for the strategy around our portfolio and artificial intelligence, or AI.
How fun. Okay, so we're going to have a fun chat, and we have some notes. We don't always have notes with us, but we have notes today.
We have notes today. Thank you, Christina, for the notes.
You're welcome. Well, the thing is, so we're starting to look at something that CISOs have been just mentioning this year, probabilistic security. Now, there is an element of probabilistic security already happening, right? We have what we think is deterministic security, where you set something, you monitor it, you check the behavior, you can triage, you can investigate, you can respond to it. But probabilistic security is more ephemeral. It's assuming some risk, right? And then saying we're willing to take a certain amount of risk in order to go faster and to have more autonomy. So what I wanted to share was we have our little giveaway, and I'll just show this to the camera, because at Richmond Advisory Group, we've done a survey, US-based, 400 leaders who are the top of the stack, actually building in AI, actually building in agentic security. And they have some really interesting takeaways. They believe that today, they're already looking at governed autonomy, 8% of them. So do the math, 400 times 8, 32 people. It's not a lot of people. But in a year and a half, they're 4x that amount. So 32% saying governed autonomy, meaning we're going to let the agents loose, and we're gonna believe in probabilistic security and take the risk. So what we want to talk to you about today, John, and we do have our notes, and I know this is near and dear to your heart, right? And we've talked about it. But I really want to talk about the art of the possible. You know, IBM is one of the deepest technology innovators, been around for a long time. What is the art of the possible around governed autonomy and agentic security? Or dare we hark back to Mark Hughes when he was on our podcast last summer? Well, he was here, but then before that, we talked about autonomous security as well. Anyway, so
he was talking about was it the boring bits? Get something to do the boring bits.
Get somebody to do the boring bits. All right, so I'm going to stop yammering. I want to hear what is the art of the possible. What do you think with governed autonomy and letting the bots run amok?
So there's two approaches. One is within cybersecurity, right?
Yes.
This is a discipline.
Well, that's what we really care about, right?
It is, but the art of the possible is a higher order challenge where, as an enterprise, the enterprise embraces an AI strategy across IT, OT, business operations, and security. If you're talking about enterprise AI, you're not talking about individual assistants embedded in software products. You're talking about the enterprise taking an integrated approach horizontally across all those elements of the enterprise, right?
But how has that gone for us to date? IT talking to OT, talking to security.
And therein lies the challenge, right?
It's a challenge.
The art of the possible is that higher order, but it's going to take one of two things: either a chief AI officer driving that through the enterprise, or it's going to take a level of conversation among the C-level executives to talk to each other in an orchestrated, planned way that historically just hasn't happened.
So moving away from the Wild West approach then, which wasn't really approach, it was just wild, and it was
so AI has been ticked up. It's growing rapidly, we all know this, but it's more based on the assistance, right? It's more based on individual use of AI for my technology, for my area of the business. What you're saying is somehow it's going to get stitched together. across,
Right.
not just in siloed approaches, right?
So
Okay.
as everybody tries to figure out what AI means this new world, the natural instinct is to stay close to home. Embed AI in software products
Yep.
to increase productivity, right? That's a clear win, that's easily doable. It's embedded in the software that you already use in one way, shape, or form in your enterprise, right?
Right.
The problem is that when it's embedded in those security specific tools, we'll use security as an example, then the efficacy of that autonomy ends at the security program. It doesn't
Right.
reach into enterprise risk for real-time risk telemetry from the enterprise. It doesn't reach into IT to do real-time patching if that's the only route that you, right? So what you want is an enterprise AI strategy that says, okay, if we have a 0-day vulnerability and a known patch for that, pass that over to the AI, the autonomous AI sitting in the IT stack. Security doesn't have to make the decision then. They don't have to tell IT, we're coming in, we're going to patch, we have
And then
to.
there's that, age-old kind of, headbutting that used to occur. It doesn't occur anymore, right,
Right.
John? But, but no,
Right.
they don't have to cross the aisle, if you will.
Right.
Okay.
They have to agree to allow their autonomous capabilities to talk to each other.
Yep.
And that's the higher order. That's where the crosstalk.
And that's where maybe the chief AI officer comes
Could-
in, and the
Yeah.
board and the C-suite are saying this needs to happen, and we're buying into this.
That is exactly the
Okay.
point, right? Because the value that you get from using an embedded AI assistant
Yeah.
is limited to kind of that, what I call the productivity trap. The
Okay.
true increased business resilience, right? That we're going to prevent an outage, a mission critical outage. We're going to, as an enterprise, lower risk through enterprise-wide autonomous AI. Those, Christina, to your point, those are board level impacts, right? That's
Okay.
what the board cares about.
You said something interesting, and you probably noticed it. You said something about predict. You said something about proactive.
Yeah.
Really? So this is something that, we talked with Mark Hughes whenever it was on our podcast about, handling the boring bits, and that we would have this autonomous security.
Yes.
It's the stuff of Star Trek and fiction for many of us.
Right.
Because you've been in security a long time.
Sure.
I've been in it for, a long
Yeah.
time. And so how would that work? And what could go wrong?
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, what are the obstacles to that adoption if we really get there?
Yeah.
Or should I say, when we really get there?
Yeah.
Because we're already seeing some of these agents being built, purpose-built for this autonomous work,
Yes.
not stitched together across the three pillars you just talked about.
Yeah, that's very true. So within a security program, when Mark talks about the boring bits, I would argue that there's work that's better suited for machines than humans. I was a SOC analyst for a ton of years. Okay, at the start of my shift, my brain's firing, I'm high degrees of accuracy. By the end of my shift, I'm like ready to go home. I'm thinking I should just close these alerts and right. So like there's work
Wow.
like that
Yeah.
that humans aren't, that machines can do better and
Faster and more
Yeah.
accurately, and
So the analogy that I have come up with is it's kind of what commercial aircraft went through in the 1970s, 80s. I know everybody flew here. If you got onto that big Airbus or Boeing airline and you saw a pilot actually holding a stick and ready to pull a wire for flaps, you would not fly on that airplane. It went through a transformation to machines running aircraft that produce a reliable, more reliable outcome, right? With a greater degree of efficiency. And humans become expert users. And so that's the role. Humans do two things. Humans shift to governing the AI capability,
Right.
and they move to higher value activities.
Okay, so that's the human in the loop.
Right.
We talk about that in our survey, where
Yep.
in order to move to governed autonomy, you have
Yeah.
to have a tested kill switch. And that's what we're seeing in our study. We're
Yep.
seeing the human still has to remain in the loop.
Yep.
We're seeing that you have to have transparency, that why trail has to exist.
Yes.
Right? So is there a black box like in the airplane analogy, that the human who is looking at this, monitoring, and maybe has a higher level job, can go back in if the proverbial nonsense hits the proverbial wall.
Right, yeah.
That the human can go dig into a black box.
Yeah, absolutely. The humans need to be able to intercept AI autonomy when and where they want, period. If there is a crisis situation, they need to tell autonomous workers, stand down, humans are taking over, right? We have to have that access into autonomous decision activity. There is a gradated scale, because not all AI autonomy has the same level of autonomy and the same level of impact. So the way we think about it at IBM is, as you give it more autonomy that has more of an impact, there may be more risk. Humans need to move from a passive, let it run, review 3% of the outcomes, make sure, into in the loop or on the loop, right? As that autonomy gains more freedom
is
to
that
take
what you
action.
called? I don't know if it was you calling it the digital worker autonomy scale.
Yes.
Was that something that we talked about?
Yeah, that was
because that's in my
something we
notes,
talked
and I was
about.
like, we did this with AI, our little notes, so you never know if the bots are making things up for us. But yeah, so you did say digital worker autonomy scale.
Yeah.
I liked that.
So, I mean, that sounds great. Just doing kind of voice, not the voice of doom, but maybe the voice of reason here. So, some technologies develop over a period of time. Others develop extremely rapidly.
Yeah.
And of course, part of the issue here, and the challenge always is, when do you adopt? If something is changing so rapidly, and you buy into that technology and you invest in, whatever technologies and tools, when is a good time to do that, or should you just wait? There is always that in the background. You could just wait until it gets a bit better, or is a bit more trustworthy,
or the price comes down a little bit.
Down a little bit.
It's a journey, isn't it?
It is a journey, right?
Yeah, it's a great question, Roy. But I think, and not but, it is a journey. And so, when do you invest? Number one, to your question, and then how do you invest? Right.
Right.
And is that going to then be the board level decision, the C-suite decision? But so, talk about the journey. You were going to jump in and say something about that.
Yeah. So absolutely, the fear of missing out is the greater. Fear in the market at the moment than the fear of I'm going to lose my investment, right? Last year, a lot of AI projects were canceled, right? So we've been through that turn, right? Just throw money at AI and see what happens. This year, the accessibility, the ease of adoptability of AI means your enterprise is going to be adopting AI one way or the other, so you need to get around it now, right? And the journey is, yes, you can start with targeted enterprise problems and then build to that horizontal, because the horizontal integration from security to IT to enterprise risk to OT to business operations, the real ROI on AI is there, right?
So there are clearly parallels between AI adoption and cloud adoption.
Cloud,
or any new technology.
Or any new technology,
right?
but from cloud perspective, if you think about the last big headline-grabbing, appearing from nowhere kind of technology that captured everybody's attention, what do you think the parallels are? Where do you think it diverges from that?
Yeah, so when cloud came, IT rushed in, and security was like, whoa, wait, hold on, right?
But isn't it the same story? It's shadow AI.
Well, and that is why this podcast, this show is such a great vehicle, because we need to be evangelists to say to security leaders, operators, practitioners, get at the right now. Don't let cloud happen again, right?
Yeah. Well, and what you don't want to be doing is securing it after the fact.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And especially with something where we get into this watchers watching the watchers. We've talked about this as well. It's like the machine. If you are working with agents and you are spinning up new services and you are spinning up new identities on the fly, you have millions of potential services and identities that are non-human, that you then have to manage, and the human will not be able to keep up. I mean,
Yeah.
the JV that worked in front of the monitor in the
Yep.
SOC was
Yeah.
tired at 4 o'clock
Yeah.
looking at, I don't know, 5,000 alerts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you were having a good day with lots of coffee. These machines are going to create hundreds of thousands a day,
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, you're spot on. The velocity that AI is moving and changing with right now introduces risks every day, right?
Yes,
And the
yes.
security, embedded security of AI isn't there yet.
Mm-hmm.
We're defining things like model context protocols so that agents can talk to each other. We just spent all that. Okay, the technology comes first. Now we need to rapidly embed security in those non-human identities or one-way organizations are approaching it. But you combine the speed and change of the velocity in AI, which introduces new attack surfaces, new attack opportunities, combine that with the fact that the bad guys are beginning to use AI as well. That is an exponential risk
They
increase.
are accelerating the threats.
You have no option but to move to autonomous security. It's a new cyber digital war of escalation, and if the defenders don't respond, then the attackers will be ahead in that war of escalation.
So I love this. What we're saying, John, is that you have to get on board.
Absolutely.
And, there's a lot of places in technology where I think it's just washing, and we've used this term a lot today. It's just, quantum washing in some cases, although I think quantum's really coming. Or it's cloud washing back in the day, or it's whatever washing you want to call it, where it's lipstick on a pig and you're putting something out and you're saying you must get on board. But I actually think the horse has left the barn. Boy, I've just mixed so many metaphors all
Or
at
washing
once.
horses that are leaving the barn.
Well, I was going to mention.
And
love it.
pigs,
I was,
and your
I was going to
lipstick.
mention Pandora's box, but
Oh,
we
and
can
Pandora's
have the
box.
horses coming out
Sure.
of Pandora's box and not closing the
I
stable
mean,
doors
we have so much
afterwards.
fun laughing on a podcast about
Yeah.
where we go. But I think the message here is that we are moving from just reactive to proactive. We are moving to a different form of resiliency.
Yeah.
We are moving to an accelerated pace across the different stacks, IT, OT, and security. It has to be a board level C-suite discussion. It has to be a top-down driven kind of thing, but it has to happen.
Yeah.
Because the FOMO is not as real as the actuality of being left behind.
That's correct.
So
yeah.
how do they start, and how do they, if their company is a Luddite and they don't want to pick up AI, what do they do? Do they move companies, or do they educate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to touch on one element before I give you the answer that you were looking for. And it's a change that the security industry is going through now. Proactive is not enough.
Right.
The probabilistic means preemptive security.
Is that beyond predictive? So we've got reactive, proactive,
Preemptive.
predictive, preemptive.
Preemptive, yeah.
Okay.
I would argue that we're wrestling with, there's a bit of semantics, there's a bit of terminology around that, but the spirit of preemptive is that it's more active.
It's not just predicting and tossing it over the wall like an
Right.
alert. It's actually taking an action.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
To increase business resilience, right?
Yep.
So that's, and again, we talked about the speed and change in the security industry. That's just what's happening right now, right? Everybody's saying proactive isn't good enough. Preemptive is where you need to be. The way to be preemptive, so you're going to ask me, why didn't we have preemptive security? We didn't.
Why didn't we have preemptive security?
Because
JV?
humans move at a pace that
Yeah.
isn't fast enough
Yeah.
for preemptive security. Humans work in silos. They're very comfortable in executing within their silo. When they need to talk to somebody else, it's not a minute conversation, minimum hours, sometimes half a day, sometimes a day and a half. So what autonomy gives us is the ability to be truly preemptive, to say, all right, IT, OT, business operations, we agree on these rules of engagement as guardrails for our autonomous AI, But within those guardrails, we can be as preemptive to risk and threat as we want.
But it has to be set ahead of time. You have to know what risk are you willing to accept. You have to do your risk registry, your risk management, which is already a pill to swallow.
Yeah.
You have to do that. You have to know what risk you'll accept. Then you have to determine what is the preemptive action with which data in which systems is allowable, because there are crown jewels we might not want the machines mucking about in, right?
Right. Those the identification of the guardrails is important. Enumerating all those workflows and use cases isn't. The autonomous AI will handle that part. It'll figure it out for us. So now you ask me, how do you get started on the journey? Right?
How do you get started on the journey,
If your
Jamie?
enterprise doesn't have a strategy, a plan, a policy, or a commitment at the executive level, at least get a strategy and a plan in place, right?
Okay.
Otherwise, like Rory said, you're going to end up with cloud properties in Google, Azure, AWS. You're going to have multiple approaches to AI in your enterprise, and what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to spend the year and a half to go back and retool and optimize everything because you didn't get ahead of it.
So it's more expensive in the long run.
Yes.
It's cheaper to actually start with a strategy. But, okay, sorry, I like to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Humans have proven, especially, those of us today who are looking at how they don't build a security program or a strategy ahead of time.
Yeah.
They go back and fix the problem later. Is it something we can fix later? I love that you're saying start with a strategy.
Right.
And have an idea of what are the guardrails and how you're going to govern this. I love it because you should do that.
Yes, you do.
And how do you then fix it on the back end?
Right. So if you take kind of a siloed approach,
which we don't advise.
Yeah. The ability of AI to interoperate in the future, you're gambling on that, right, is what you're saying.
I like that statement. You're gambling on the ability for it to interoperate across your enterprise if you don't invest in the strategy today. Right. That is a takeaway right there.
Yeah.
I really like that.
The other piece in terms of, okay, great strategy, policy, that's paperwork. I want operational gain. I want it now. I want it immediately. Number one, look for those things, those jobs that humans hate doing, the painful points, where machines can do it better. Yeah. And you need to assess if that workflow, process, cross-enterprise work stream, if that's ready for autonomy. Yeah. If it's uber siloed and the interaction happens through an individual human talking to another individual human, and both of them are their subject matter expertise, and you don't know how that, oh my gosh, if Christina wasn't there, this just wouldn't run, right? Okay.
Everything is that way, JV, if I'm not there.
Fair. That's not ready, for autonomy.
Right.
Okay. And so you have to come up with, it's like all things, if you, failure is failing to plan, right? So get a plan in place and then assess what's ready to and ripe for autonomous horizontal work streams. And then if you don't have the in-house capability around agentic development, there are lots of emerging tool sets that you can adopt that abstract away some of the knowledge necessary for it. If you have resources in your enterprise that have been playing around with machine learning for years, so
then you're a little bit more prepared.
Data science is, right.
And if you're not as siloed, if you've identified where the pain points are, where the silos are, if you're building a strategy, then you're good to go.
And for CISOs, start inside the security program.
Right.
How would you like your asset, your CMDB, fully visible to your governance, your risk and compliance, fully tied into identities, right? in security programs today, a lot of times identity lives on an island.
It does.
The CMDB, the asset, the operations, that lives on another island. The SOC is trying to get visibility into all those things, right? So start within the security program. Do autonomous interaction there.
And get your proof points to then bring to the upper management if you have to prove it upwards. So just to kind of come full circle, I know we're probably getting to time. I don't know what time we're at, but
we should wrap up.
So one thing that we really wanted to talk to you about, I mean, all this autonomous security, it's really good, it's interesting. We'll see if it comes to fruition because like Jean-Luc Picard, I don't know that we can make it so number one yet. I mean, maybe we can. No, actually, I'm very bullish on the possibility, the art of the possible.
Absolutely.
Very, very bullish. But what I really wanted to talk with you about today is the midges.
Oh, yeah.
In Scotland.
Yes.
So just for our audience, John is going to Scotland, Rory's from Scotland, and we had a little bit of a chat about the midges, which are these terrible little insects that bite you to the point where you're so annoyed. So, okay, what did you recommend to our dear friend?
A smidge.
Smidge.
It's in a metal canister.
Well,
It's
I
a
think
spray.
we talked about, like, I chose the right time of year to go hike the West
definitely did.
Highland Way,
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Before they come out.
You might-
So you're going to be hiking many, many hours. You talked your wife into this.
Yeah.
You have the luxury accommodations on the back end.
Yeah.
But smidge is a spray.
Smidge is a spray.
Okay.
That's what you need. It's all the
All right.
all the folk that the guys that work outside, the people that do the telephone exchange wires, or the ones that are cutting down the trees or whatever. They will tape up with duct tape their gloves to their and have a net on their
And
face.
have the net.
But in
Okay.
April, it's absolutely fine. From May on, that's when they start to come out.
Yeah.
So you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Like-
Thank you so much for coming on. Here's what I took away, and I know we have like 2 minutes to wrap.
Sure.
You are helping to build what we hope is going to be more and more innovation around autonomous security.
Absolutely.
We don't know. It might be coming, it might not. And it involves us looking at it from both a technology, product perspective, all the way through the strategy and assessment level that you're very familiar with. So going from SOC operation that you did all the way into cybersecurity services that you're now in, it has to include both. So any last words just for how to like leave a takeaway? And we got one wonderful nugget that we'll put in our notes.
Okay.
But one takeaway that you think the buyers need to understand about autonomous security, probabilistic security, governed autonomy right now.
Yep. The forces outside your security program are on that AI journey. Whether they be the bad guys, whether it be software, technology development, whether it be IT. As a lifelong security practitioner, we do not want to miss this one, right? There is opportunity here. So let's not be the security in our silo. The world around us, the stakes are changing. The world is being transformed by AI, and I know it's hard. AI is currently the world where there's no truth, right? What's true one day is not true the next day. So I know it's hard, but we need to act. We take action. Don't be left behind. The world outside of you is changing as we sit here and do this podcast.
Thank you.
And on
So
that
fun.
note, we also need to act because we're now out of time.
Yes. Hey,
So,
thanks so
John,
much for listening, folks. And thank you, John.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I cut you off.
That's okay. It's a wrap. Thanks, folks. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate that.
All right.
Terrific.